What's happening, guys? It's Sunday vibes. You know what it is. Big up to everyone locked in on this. What is it? Lunchtime? Should we call it lunchtime talk? Lunchtime vibes here. All things pre-season, as pre-season officially comes to an end for Manchester United. Has it come to an end? Yes, I think it has. Or is there one more pre-season game? I'm not too sure. But Manchester United suffer a heavy defeat in pre-season to rivals Liverpool. We're going to talk about that. We're going to really have some honest conversations about what does this mean for the season? How do you see the season kind of panning out in the next couple of weeks or so? Of course, Manchester United kick off their season next Saturday, Community Shield against Manchester City, and then the following Friday, the Premier League starts. If this is anything to take, if this preseason game was anything to take into that, it's telling us to be concerned and be worried. But then again, it's just pre-season. That's why I always say pre-season is the time to kind of reflect on what if we're seeing any patterns of play, number one. Number two, fitness. Number three, seeing young players get a chance. That is what pre-season is about. But I think this pre-season has also confirmed to me that there's some players that just can't. They cannot be part of this project if this project is going to be a success. And that's not me. I don't want to pile on to any players, but I'm just going to point out players that I feel like have been a bit disappointing during pre-season. Erik ten Hag spoke in detail after the game about possible options going into the season, about false nine options, about Bruno, Sancho, etc. So it's looking like with this striker situation that United have going on, the fact that Rasmus Hojlund's out for 6 weeks, Joshua Zirkzee has just reported for training, it looks like Erik ten Hag is going to try out the false nine thing. We're going to talk about that. He spoke a bit about Harry Amas, He spoke about pre-season and kind of what he liked and what he didn't like. So we're going to go through that, and we're going to go through individual performances and obviously the overall performance for Manchester United against Liverpool. And we're going to go for just a little bit of transfer stuff. There's nothing really kind of, I will say, new. Yesterday it was being reported that Man United and Bayern Munich had come to an agreement about Mazraoui, but that was coming from Santiago and no one else has kind of corroborated that story. So I didn't do a stream about that. When it comes from someone like Florian Petterberg, Fabrizio, David Ornstein, etc., then we will kind of get excited and kind of start fist pumping in the air and all of that stuff. But listen, guys, big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Hit the like button if you've just come through. Be sure to subscribe. Please let me know. Get involved in the chat. Today is going to be a very interactive one. Get involved in the chat. I'm going to go through everybody's comments. I want to hear your thoughts whenever we speak about specific topics and specific players. I want to hear what you guys thought. Do you guys like my little bear thing? I made this in a arts and crafts class, and I made it red and black. I think it was red, black, and white for the United colours. And I kind of like it. So I had to remove what did I have there. I think I had a football there before. So I had to remove a football that I had there, and I put that there. I don't know. We need to come up for a name for him. So let me know if you lot got any names. But like I said, big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. We already conceded several goals in preseason, which is a concern. Have we had I think it's only Rangers game United had a clean sheet. Yeah, it's only against Rangers that Manchester United had a clean sheet. Every other game, Manchester United have conceded goals. Onana is a shambles, as is the entire defense. Yes, it is. Onana is an interesting one. We're going to speak about Onana. Onana is an interesting one because I do feel like you get the positives in him, but then there's just some scary moments, some very, very scary moments. He has a mistake in him all the time. G4 says, big you up, man. I was good to see you at the O2 yesterday. My girl was gas. Big up, man. Listen, I'm at G4 yesterday, guys. I was out with my mates, having ice cream, having lunch, whatever. Brought the vibes, man. United fan as well. And big up to your missus as well, man. It was really nice to meet you and her as well. It was really nice. This is our problem. We will blame one player for all season in our team. Now it's Casemiro. I don't think I'm going to blame Casemiro. I'm not blaming Casemiro for the loss, but what I will say about Casemiro, we'll get to that. I just think it's just further proved the point why Manchester United need to rejuvenate the squad in certain positions. Like, I'm very worried about going into a season with just Casemiro as an option. That's not me saying Casemiro is to blame. I'm just saying we need other options outside of Casemiro for simply that depth reasons. Now, like I said, I'm not here to pile on players. I'm just here to point out flaws and point out positives. And if I do feel like, for example, I think Toby Collier is a good player. I don't think he's completely ready for in the way that Kobbie Mainoo was ready to come into the first team straight away. That's not me saying Toby Collier is a bad player. I'm just saying that I don't think he's fully ready to play consistent first team football. Simple as that. Assalamu alaikum from Oman. Wa alaikum assalam. Oman is on my bucket list, definitely to visit. Listen, let's get into it. Let's get into it. But just on some quick talk, just some quick discussions. Bruno Fernandes is back in training amongst a bunch of other players, including this guy here. He will be available. He will be available and will make a big difference. I ain't talking about Diogo Dalot, by the way, guys. I'm talking about Joshua Zirkzee. Yesterday, watching the game against Liverpool, I felt, you know what? Joshua Zirkzee in this false nine role, or having even someone else in the false nine role and having him out wide, he could really exploit that. He could really, really exploit that. Now, I think for the foreseeable future, probably until Rasmus Hojlund comes back, I don't think Man United are going to play with an out-and-out nine. I don't see that happening. I don't see Man United going out and getting a striker as well. I'm not going to lie. I don't see them going out and getting a striker. They're just about able to get a fullback and they're just about to, able to get a centre-back. I think we're going to get a midfielder on loan. I don't think United are going to have the money to buy Ugarte or Zubimendi or anybody outright. I can see maybe Adrian Rabiot joining, but I think Joshua Zirkzee returning or arriving into the first team, players like Bruno, players like Ahmad, players like Sancho, that they will be able to alternate around that front line. It'll be a joy to watch. I really think it'll be a joy to watch, guys. He'll make Sancho impact more. Definitely. I think he definitely will. Dipesh says, not a fan of tennis, Minna. Nah, not really. I ain't watched tennis probably since like Wimbledon 2000 and maybe whenever Serena Williams retired. Whenever Serena Williams retired is the last time I watched tennis. But listen, let's quickly talk about the Liverpool game. Let's talk about the Liverpool game in depth. Interesting backline. This is the thing, guys. This is the thing about the backline, right? I've been saying for the longest, Manchester United are really 1 or 2 injuries away from having a backline consisting of Johnny Evans, Victor Lindelof, even Harry Maguire if he was available fit. That is why it is crucial to get that De Ligt deal over the line. It is so, so crucial because even on top of that, I don't know if you lot realised yesterday, Oyedele was playing at centre-back. Man United, after they kind of exhaust all their options at centre-back, they have no one else available. There's no one else available. After Lindelof, after Johnny Evans, Maguire, etc., there is no one else available. And that is worrying to me because Manchester United's biggest problem last season, amongst other things, I think their biggest problems was the injuries in the backline and how many times Man United had to rotate. Now, God forbid, I really hope it doesn't happen, but God forbid an injury happens to Lisandro Martinez, that he's out for a duration of time. Man United are pissed. Man United are pissed. Now, I'm not going to lie. In yesterday's game, I think there was a lot of positives to take. I really felt like there was a lot of positives to take. Of course, Liverpool were more clinical in front of goal. Manchester United had little moments of lapse of concentration, cutbacks, etc. But Man United were the better team in creating chances. They just couldn't put anything away. I saw evident patterns of play. Now, my only concern is, and it's probably my biggest one, which is why I mentioned Casemiro, is that Casemiro's too slow in that midfield. In a game where teams are pressing, in the way that Liverpool were pressing very, They were pressing as a team, as a unit. That midfield space becomes so vacant that Casemiro cannot cover all that ground. Casemiro, for me, would flourish for Man United if he was playing in a double pivot. 2 players, a player next to him, and there's not so much space. Toby Collier was playing a bit more advanced, as was Mason Mount, and it was just, for me, underwhelming from Casemiro. Casemiro's had a bit of an underwhelming pre-season in comparison to maybe other senior players. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think it was evidence to me. It felt like his mind wasn't there yesterday, but also it just further proved to me that why Manchester United want to move him on. Yesterday's performance was just another example of why Manchester United are planning to move him on. Because whatever it is that Erik ten Hag wants to do, whether it's the distribution from your goalkeeper to your fullback, Aaron Wan-Bissaka cannot execute. He can't do that. And yes, we can sit here and talk about how good of a 1v1 defender he is, but let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. He will be more of a hindrance to Manchester United than he will be a benefit this season. And in a season where Manchester United are chopping and changing, and there's changes in midfield and changes in defense and changes in the front line, we need stability in the back line. That's all I know. All I know for sure. With Lenny Yoro out for 3 or so months, Lisandro Martinez returning, Diogo Dalot returning, Mazraoui possibly arriving, Andre Onana fit, Manchester United need stability in that backline, because you saw what a stable backline does under Eric Ten Hag in his first season. We've seen what happened when Varane and Licha were available game in, game out, when Wan-Bissaka was balling out after the World Cup, Luke Shaw, etc. We saw what Manchester United can do with a stable backline. And for me, it's like the backline is always your foundation of everything. It's like a house. You can't build a house from the top down, or can you? I don't think you can. You have to build it from the ground up. And I think football, your starting 11 is the same. You need to build your starting 11 from the bottom up. Your backline needs to be solid. It has to be the solid foundation that you have in order to not concede goals. It's as simple as that. People always say, and I say it all the time, that the first line of defense is your front line. That is true. But when it really comes to it, and what Man United, I think, struggled with yesterday in particular, was that box defending area. I'm not dwelling on it too much. And the reason why I'm not dwelling on it too much is because it was Johnny Evans and Victor Lindelof. People that I hope is not going to play often. I think even Victor Lindelof hadn't even been training until a couple of days ago. So I'm not trying to dwell on it too tough. But this is what United were playing with. This was kind of the formation that Manchester United was playing with. Shout out to, I think it was Stretford Trends on Twitter that posted this in terms of how Man United were playing. Now, I'm not going to lie, Collier wasn't really getting back in that way. It wasn't a double pivot where Casemiro was shifting to the side and Collier was getting back. Harry Amas, for me, is another interesting one. I think he does well in some instances, but also I see the rawness in his game sometimes. I think also Marcus Rashford, he might not be scoring goals, but he's looking very sharp. I think he's looking very sharp this preseason. You lot might not agree with me fully. And people will come out and say, Min is always defending Marcus Rashford. But I think he looks very, very sharp, this season, this preseason, which is a positive. Eric Ten Hag was talking to media after the game. And he said quite a few stuff. He said, today we created many chances and I would be concerned if we didn't. I'm pleased with the way we created the chances out of open play, but also from good pressing situations and good counter pressing situations, which is what I basically said. The whole thing of preseason is to identify patterns of play that are consistent and regular during the game. Whether you're scoring or not, that's a different question, because I'm not going to lie, scoring in preseason, okay, cool. If you're not putting your chances away, cool. But when it comes to the Premier League, you got to put them chances away. But the most important thing is identifying clear patterns of play consistently across the game. And I've been able to see that. Especially over the last couple games. I don't think you lot can say you watch preseason and you haven't identified anything. Maybe I'll do like an analytical stream one day where we analyze the preseason games and identify specific stuff, because I saw the pressing that paid off. I saw the build up, out of play situations, etc. We managed to have those moments in the game. It was just the fact that if you saw the scoreline, you would have thought Man United were dominated. But if you watched the game, you would be like, nah, they actually wasn't. He went on to talk about preseason, Eric Ten Hag, and he said, you learn a lot about your team on preseason, and now we have to recover and go back to prepare for the next game, which is a big game versus Manchester City. Of course, like I said, that's the Community Shield next Saturday. He went on to talk about staff, the players, etc. And obviously it's the end of the tour. Talking about the game in particular, he said there were mixed feelings. I would say I think I have seen positive bits, but the way we concede goals, we are of course not happy with it. Of course, Liverpool are a very good side. Listen, the way United concede goals in pre-season is exactly how they were conceding goals last season, and that's what scares me. Is that Man United haven't learned much since that shambolic of a season last year. Now, again, I'm gonna take it with a pinch of salt because of the backlines that Manchester United have been playing with throughout pre-season. I mean, Lenny Yoro played 2 halves in preseason and now he's out injured. There's no Lisandro Martinez, no Luke Shaw, no Diogo Dalot, no regular players that Man United would possibly play in the backline that have been part of the defensive structure during preseason. But my only concern is those cutbacks. Man United, please, wallahi, like next season, just no cutbacks. I fully cannot handle any more cutbacks or Manchester United conceding more and more cutbacks, because it's fully unbearable. It is really, really, really unbearable in my opinion. Talking about Harry Amas, he spoke about a few players, by the way, post game. Eric Ten Hag spoke about a few players post game, but one of the players that he was talking about was Harry Amas. He said, I said this the other day, I think there is potential, but he has to improve. But I think in the last 12 days on the tour, he's made big steps. He was really tested and defended, and he made a step forward, but it's still a long way to go. A few days before that as well, he spoke about Harry Amas, and he kind of referenced about Kobbie Mainoo. And he basically said, in layman's terms, he basically said that Harry Amas's development is not as advanced as Kobbie Mainoo was at that stage, which is why Kobbie Mainoo came straight from injury, bam, into the first team. And I do agree with him. I don't think between Harry Amas and Toby Collier, I don't think there's either of them that are ready to play consistent first team football like Kobbie Mainoo was, coming immediately into the first team. But I also don't think, I think it's a bit harsh to make Kobbie Mainoo the kind of benchmark for all the academy players. I think that's harsh on the players, not on Kobbie Mainoo, because I think Kobbie Mainoo is an anomaly. I think, his development and his abilities were on show from when he was 15 playing under 18 football. I think that was very, very evident. So I think it's kind of harsh to put Kobbie as the benchmark and everybody needs to get to that level. But I will also flip it and say, you know what? If we really want Manchester United to be this amazing academy that develops these amazing first team players, maybe Kobbie Mainoo should be the benchmark. Maybe he should be the benchmark, and everyone should aspire to be on that level when they're coming into the first team, so that they immediately get their chances and their opportunities. But then I'll, be devil's advocate and say that's kind of harsh on the young players. But Erik ten Hag had a heap of praise for people like Harry Amas throughout the tour, Toby Collier, etc. I think that they are going to be the two players that are probably, I'm not going to say part of the first team. I think they'll be part of the first team in terms of training with them, maybe on the match day squad. But I'll be very shocked if I see any of them starting games, especially in the early stages of the season. I mean, opening day against Fulham, I'll be shocked. Bank holiday weekend against Liverpool, I'll be shocked. I'm not going to lie. But I think Harry Amas is a good player. I think defensively, there are a few things that he could work on. But like I said, and like Erik ten Hag says, he's at the best position right now to learn amongst a development of coaching staff. Ruud van Nistelrooy worked very well with Jared Brantford at PSV. He gets to learn under the likes of Luke Shaw, Diogo Dalot, Mazraoui if he comes in, etc. So for me, Harry Amas will come good in the coming months or the coming years for Manchester United. I don't think he needs a loan. I think he just needs to continue being in and around that first team to kind of get those first team experiences. But let's talk about these two guys here. You lot are probably thinking who, because you can only see half of their heads. These two. It seems like whenever they're in a good, whenever one's in a good mood, the other one is in a good mood. It seems to be the case all the time. But Jadon Sancho for me has had a relatively good preseason. I don't know. I feel like I've seen different opinions about Jadon Sancho and his preseason. I've seen people saying sell him. I've seen people saying he's part of the first team. I've seen people saying he's part of squad depth. I've seen a mix and match kind of both. But one thing I will say is that Jadon Sancho, I think, in preseason has shown his flexibility in terms of different places that he can play. And with Manchester United not having a front man, not having a kind of out-and-out striker, guys, brace yourself, because there'll be a lot of rotation in that front line. We might see Ahmad in false nine. We might see Bruno false nine. We might see Sancho false nine. We might see Mason Mount even false nine. Brace yourselves, guys, for the next couple weeks, at least until Hojlund comes back, or maybe if Joshua Zirkzee starts up top. Marcus Rashford for me looks very sharp this preseason. He looks very sharp. Like I said, he hasn't put the ball in the back of net regularly during preseason, but he looks very, very sharp. And he looks like he's doing the stuff that he was criticized a lot for last season. Erik ten Hag was talking about Jadon Sancho, and he said, we know that Sancho can play in wide areas and also be a false striker. He's an option, and I think Rashford has done it before and he can do it again. So that is also an option. He went and to talk about, by the way, about Jadon Sancho for the Manchester City game, whether he would start or not. And he said it was possible for him to start up front. Otherwise, we wouldn't play with him there today. That is what we can do. And if we don't have the availability of Hojlund and Zirkzee, then Sancho will be the option. So essentially, what Manchester United have been doing is prepping for that Community Shield game by playing like this lineup that United have been playing. I think maybe Licha and maybe if Mazraoui comes in, they might be the only changes. But I would like to think that the front line that we've seen, and Bruno, of course, I'd like to think that the front line that we've been seeing of Ahmad, Sancho, Rashford, I think that might be the front line we see against Manchester City. I'm not going to lie. Man United ain't got a striker, so we just have to firm it. But what have you guys made of Jadon Sancho's preseason? Not Marcus Rashford, but Jadon Sancho. What have you lot made of it? 2.4 million a month in wages for these two and very little delivered on the pitch. Do you think that's a bit harsh given the fact that, guys, it's pre-season? What do you want United to be doing in pre-season, guys? What is the standards for you guys for pre-season? Do you want them to be scoring 100 goals a game? Do you like yesterday's game for me? You look at the score sheet and you think Man United got cooked. They got dominated. But if you watch the game, and I don't know if a lot of you lot did because it was on at the game kicked off at 20 minutes to 1 in the UK. But I felt like it was a good performance. I feel like United played well. I feel like there was individually good performances. Equally, there was individually underwhelming performances. But I don't think, for me, Jadon Sancho, I don't think he was that bad. I don't think he's actually been bad throughout preseason. I think he's had little sparks, especially across each game. We can see his technical level is up here. We know what you're getting with Sancho 99% of the time. 99% of the time. Similar level to last year's preseason, Sancho has been encouraging. Looks like he can add to the team and be a good part of the attack. 100%. And I just hope that is just not the case like last season where he had a good preseason and then it just all went downhill. I'm just hoping that that's not the case. Now, I have accepted that Man United are not selling Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho is not being sold because Man United do not have that many options up front. They do not have the more players they keep, the better. In I think the way that they see it in terms of the front line. I think Pellistri will leave. I think Anthony will stay, and I think Jadon Sancho will stay. And I'm not gonna lie, I think Jadon Sancho offers more than Anthony does. Someone said on the comments of one of my videos, they were like, Anthony should just accept that he's a left wing back. And I couldn't stop laughing. Big up to Ed, says, again, it's a game where the team was fine, not good, not bad. Some individuals were better than others, but not by much. I hear it. Big up to Mr. K as well, says, Sancho hasn't done nothing, man. I think he will get the game time he needs. I don't think he'll get the game time he needs. I want him gone. That's harsh. That is harsh. Big up Ridwan as well, says, apparently Dominic Calvert-Lewin played more Prem minutes last season than Rasmus Hojlund. We might have another Anthony Martial if Rasmus doesn't fix up. I think this is a make or break season for Rasmus, guys. I think this is a make or break season for Rasmus, and I think it's a make or break season for Mason Mount. Them two. I don't think it's a make, and I'm speaking specifically about the players that United brought last summer. I don't think it's a make or break season for Onana. I actually will go as far to say that I think Onana is comfortable in his position. I think he will be the starting goalkeeper for Manchester. He will be Man United's number one for the foreseeable couple of seasons. Couple seasons. So I think this is a big season for Rasmus. And if he can stay fit and take his opportunities when they come, it has to be a big season for him. It's the state of the defending a week before the season start, which is my worry. Even with the people to come in, the state of the second and third goal with the defending and keeper is a bit concerning. I agree with that. I actually agree with that, and the reason why I agree with that is because I feel like Manchester United. I said this earlier. I feel like Man United have learned nothing from last season. And when I say from last season, I mean in the manner that goals were being conceded. This backline, maybe except for Harry Amas, this backline was part of last season. They played. Lindelof played. Johnny Evans played. Wan-Bissaka played. Casemiro played. Onana played. And I really, really think that Manchester United have not learned anything in the manner in which they concede sloppy goals. Because a lot of the goals Manchester United conceded last season, and also some of the goals that they conceded this season, this pre-season, some of them, especially against Liverpool, were definitely avoidable. Moments of lapse, scrappy play in the box, trying to get the ball out, and you keep giving it back to the opponent. It's like deja vu. It does feel a bit deja vu-ish. But my only thing is, I'm not trying to dwell on it too much, because I keep reminding myself it's pre-season. But really and truly, guys, there's 12 days until the season starts. Yeah, 12 days until the season starts. That's crazy. 12 days. And Manchester United still haven't brought in an extra defender. They're still trying to get that fullback deal. The talk of a midfielder has quietened, which for me is Man United's biggest worry. It has to be that midfield. It's scary hours, guys. I'm not going to lie, scary hours. I think the Community Shield, at the end of the day, you never want to lose to Manchester City in a final. No, it's not even a final. It's just I don't even know what to describe the Community Shield as. But you don't want to lose to City at all, and you definitely want to start the season on a good foot. But then you're thinking about it, 6 days later, your season starts. And Man United, I can't remember the last time Man United opened the Premier League campaign, guys. It's always I feel like everyone Friday night football, everyone's going to be watching because the Premier League is back. And it'll be a hate watch for a lot of people. It will definitely be a hate watch for a lot of people. To be frank, the whole defense, Bartonana isn't going to be the starting defense, though. That is another thing. But then again, like I said, Man United are one injury away from having a Lindelof or a Johnny Evans starting. Man United are one injury away from having a Wan-Bissaka starting. It's scary. It is really scary when you think about it like that. Like, honestly, guys, even though we can say, you know what, this backline is not going to play. But this backline is not far away from playing. The centre-back pairing is not that far away from playing. We got Lisandro Martinez. We don't know who's going to be his right back, his right-sided player with him. If it's going to be De Ligt, if it's going to be Maguire, if it's going to be Johnny. We don't know who it is. But one injury to Lisandro Martinez, and we are probably back to seeing a Maguire and Lindelof backline. And that is worrying. That is definitely worrying. Did Rasmus not prove himself last year, top scorer with 0 service? I think he proved himself in the way. I'm just worried about the fact that it took him so long to kick off his Premier League campaign, guys. He did not score until it was Boxing Day, 26th of December was when he got his first goal for Manchester United in the league. Of course, he was scoring in the Champions League, but really and truly, those goals in the Champions League led to nothing. They led to nothing. Now, I'm hoping this season, you know, first season jitters. I'm hoping that was last year. And if that is first season jitters where you're scoring 15 goals in all competitions, that means when you finally boom off and you kickstart your campaign, you can get 20, 25 goals. And I don't know what the bar is for Rasmus Hojlund. That's the thing. I don't know what the bar is for him, because what do you think? What kind of number 9 does Manchester United want to mold him into? Do you want to mold him into just a box poacher? Are you trying to mold him into a back to goal kind of player? I think that's what Joshua Zirkzee. I think Zirkzee is there to be the link between the wide players and Bruno and the front line. So where is Hojlund? What kind of player is Man United trying to mold Hojlund into when you're looking at a striker? Because he's not aerial dominant. Physically, he gets bullied a lot. Is he going to be the player that is making runs in behind? That is playing. I honestly think if Man United could to play 2 strikers, but play Zirkzee as a second striker behind Hojlund, because Zirkzee would link the play up perfectly between the wingers, the wide guys like Ahmad, like Rashford, like Sancho, Garnacho, whoever's playing, and Bruno. But the thing is, Man United are running too thin in midfield that they don't have someone to do all the work in that midfield. Hold on. What about this Obi dude they brought? He hasn't done his medical yet. Obi Chido Martins, I think, the young kid. It's reported that he does have a pathway from academy to first team. However, he's going to the academy first, guys. I don't think they're going to bring him in straight away. Let me see. Ridwan says the transfer window closes 30th of August at 11 p.m. UK time. How many signings will we make? Because I cannot be seeing some of these players like Lindelof and Evans playing this much, and Casemiro playing so deep might be an issue. We need him higher with another 6 alongside him. That's what I was saying. I think Casemiro plays better with a player next to him that takes the weight off him, because I feel like when he's required to cover a lot of ground and he's required to kind of operate in a wide space, in a lot of space, he can't do it. His body can't allow him to do it, and in that way he ends up making mistakes and just being quite sloppy. We wanted this style of play, and so far I'll be happy with what I saw. So I agree. I like the style that I've been seeing so far. Ed says De Ligt only just came back from holiday on Friday, so I don't even think if we get him next week that he'll start versus City. Definitely going to be Evans, Maguire, Lindelof in the Shield. It's scary. Thriller says 20 goals, 10 assists for me from Rasmus would be great. Hopefully teammates pass to him this time. It'll be very interesting. Big up to Fat Thought says, instead of selling and recruiting players, what were Dan and Jason doing at the tour? No movement happened and it needs to happen soon. That's a good question. Because obviously we all know that Dan Ashworth, Umar Barada, Jason Wilcox, all of them were there, and Sir Dave Brailsford. And as a result, nothing has happened in the transfer window for Manchester United. But I think they were there for more like cohesion purposes. I know this sounds stupid, but I think they probably wanted to be in and around the squad, see what it works like. But I did get the impression that I saw a lot of videos and pictures of them at the training sessions and then talking to Ten Hag during the sessions and after the sessions. So I don't know if they were chiming in with their opinion about how the sessions were going or about individual players, etc. But I do think they've kind of they've got their fingerprints on a few stuff right now, which is quite interesting because, you know, sporting director that's at preseason watching the sessions and giving the manager feedback, that's interesting to me. That is interesting to me, but we can't dwell on it too much at all. Cass needs a cruise to help him at like Real Madrid. I agree. He needs a player to support him, like he did, like he had. Sorry, at Real Madrid, which is facts. Which is facts. Let's talk about these guys. You're probably thinking there's a lot of the guys. Which I look at this, yeah. I look at these five guys. That's a restaurant. I look at these five guys, right? These five lads, and I look at them and think, two shouldn't be there. Two should be squad options, and one can be a star. But I have a feeling that possibly 3 or 4 of them will probably start or have some involvement in the Community Shield, and maybe even the early stages of the season. I think for me, Hannibal is an X factor. He's X'd out, and I think he will leave. I think he's been linked to a move quite a few teams. He's been linked to a move in Europe. He's been linked to a move with like Rangers, etc. He's been linked to quite a few moves. I think Anthony is not going anywhere, guys. Everyone needs to accept that Anthony will not be going anywhere, because why on earth would he walk away from 250k a week? That's the first thing. Terrence says it here. Anthony will never leave. Eric Ten Hag did him a favor by buying him from Ajax, broke the bank for him, 100 million. His ego is up here now. Because he's thinking, yes, my father came and paid 100 million for me, and then on top of that, more than quadrupled his salary. He's not going anywhere. He'll continuously come out and say, I want to fight for the badge. I want to fight for a place. He's going to make it. He's going to do that. And equally so, guys, can I just say, I would have done the same. I would absolutely do the same. Anthony is that guest who doesn't want to leave your house. But it's your fault that he doesn't want to. Anthony, if you say Anthony is the guest that doesn't leave your house, yeah, it's because you've served them so much food. You've given them a heated blanket to have on top on themselves. You turned on all their favorite TV shows. You've given them a massage. You've done everything. Oh, of course they're not going to leave. I wouldn't leave. If I go to someone's house and they do all of that for me, I'm staying. Just make the bed for me. I'm going to lay down. I don't blame him. Fat Four says, my sister, which youngster do you think is ready for first team football? I don't think, by the way, any of the youngsters right now are available for first team football. I will say Toby Collier is probably the most advanced. I think he's the most advanced, but I still think he's missing a few aspects of totally being ready for first team. I would say that Harry Amas is good, but again, missing aspects for first team. I think it will be some time before we see Toby Collier actually in the first team. Honestly, I don't think he will be thrown in like Kobe was. And I was just speaking about it earlier in the stream. I think it's harsh to make Kobe the benchmark for academy kids. But also, I think Man United should make Kobe the benchmark for the academy kids, because you're basically saying if you're not this level, you're not going to make it at Manchester United. You're not going to make it. And Manchester United obviously have a history of developing, a lot of first team able players that maybe go on to play elsewhere in and around Europe, etc. So I'll say Collier for me from this preseason. Anthony should be banished like Conor Gallagher. Do you think United are too nice? Because I'm seeing what Chelsea are doing with Gallagher. I'm seeing what they're doing with Chalobah. I've seen obviously what they've done with previous players, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Tomori, Tammy Abrahams, all these Cobham kids that were Cobham through and through, being pushed out of the door in the manner that they were. Do you think that Man United should take a leaf out of Chelsea's book? Do you think, because Man United historically have been known, and I'm saying historically, I'm talking about the last 10 years when it comes to how many Man United players have left on freeze? How many Manchester United players have left on freeze? You look at Company at Bayern Munich. He came in and said, De Ligt, Mazraoui, X, Y, Z. 6 players. He named 6 players and he said, go find yourselves a new team. You're not part of my plans here. And they said, okay, cool. And yeah, here you go. Look at Motta at Juve. He's banished those who aren't in his plans. Motta came out in speaking to the media, and he said, people like Chiesa and all of that, he said, they are not part of my plans. There is no future for them here at the club. Find yourself a new project. That's it. And he said, find yourself a new project, and we will accommodate you in finding a deal to get you out of the club. That is what Manchester United need to do. Honestly, that is what Manchester United need to do, because too many times Man United have been too nice. Too nice. And players end up running down their contracts. We saw how many players, Erik ten Hag, the summer that he came in, Pogba left, Lingard left. Those are arguably some players I would say should have left a long time ago. Let's look at all the players that Manchester United have gotten rid of on a free. Man United transfer. Let's look at that. Part of the issue is we give too high wages to players who won't leave, so they won't leave. They'd rather sit on the bench while they earn generational wealth. That is true. When Manchester United are part of the problem equally as much. If they aren't good enough or in the plans, they got to go. 100%. 100%. And I think this is just a further kind of example of that. Let me look at last season. Let me look at last season. Who left on a free last season? It was only who left on a free last season. Eric Bailly left on a free. That was it. It was only Eric Bailly that left on a free last season. But I know for a fact over the last couple of years, Manchester United have had let's go back and look, maybe 2021, 2022. Let's look at 2021, 2022. Who left on a free? Joel Pereira. Don't even remember, bro. Lingard left. Phil Jones left on a free. Paul Pogba left on a free, obviously. And even if it's not players leaving on a free, Manchester United, I don't know if you don't remember the summer that they brought the most randomest players. They bought Schweinsteiger. They bought Schneiderlin. I think it was under Louis van Gaal. And I remember just thinking, why are we just buying all these random players who are clearly, some of them past their prime? Similar to Man United brought Schweinsteiger in the same manner that they brought Casemiro. A big name, professionalism, coming from a historic club. Pointless transfer. Absolutely pointless transfer. Why did Anthony even get minutes yesterday? To show what? Well, it's pre-season, guys. It's pre-season. Will Fish, who got injured, got minutes. Odieli got minutes. Like, it's pre-season. Players are going to get minutes. They're not just going to sit on the bench the entire time. They're not going to sit on the bench the entire time. I have a question. If I'm going to speak about this guy, let me pull him up, because obviously he played in yesterday's preseason game. He's actually played a lot in the last couple preseason games, and I'm really curious to know a bit more about where is his future in the team. Where is his future in the team? Why can't I find a decent picture of him to bring up on the screen? I want to know where his future is in the team and what is the plans for him. I'm going to put up this picture because this is a nice picture of him. Mason Mount. He's probably been the most consistent player that's played near enough to most games in preseason. That is actually not a nice picture of him, guys. Why did I say that was a nice? That is a horrible picture of him. I'm not doing him any justice. It's actually quite mean. There you go. Let me put this picture up. Instead. Mason Mount, for me, I don't know where he is. I don't know where he fits. I don't know where he fits into the team, especially watching him during preseason. I think out of position, he's good. But we all know Bruno is starting in the 10. Kobbie won't be available. I don't know if Kobbie will play against Manchester City. So I don't know if that opens up a chance for Mount to play. Now, one thing I will say is that I think Mount can have an impact on the team in a rotational role, in a depth role, etc., if he can stay fit. And if preseason is anything to go by, he clearly can stay fit. That's the first thing, right? But off the ball, outside of off the ball, I don't know what he does. Guys, I don't know what he does. I don't want to say he's a runner, he's a track star. He gonna run away when it gets hard. Honestly, outside of running and off the ball, press, etc., I don't know. In possession, what he can do for Manchester United. I don't think he's a creative outlet. I don't think he is a ball progressor. 60 million to run? What song even that? How do you not know that song? He's a runner, he's a drag star. He gonna run away with. I don't even know what that song is. I remember it from TikTok during lockdown. He's just there. I think it's harsh to say he's just there because I can tell you what he does out of position and I can tell you what benefits he gives. But I don't know where he fits into Manchester United. First 3 games of the season, I couldn't tell you what his role would be. His main attribute is running after the ball. 50 million for that one thing. If Man United paid 50 million for someone that is off the ball runner, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. But I will say preseason, I mean, the fact that he's been able to stay fit during preseason, that says a lot. But guys, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Please don't be disgraceful. We've got 100 people here, and we're only on 50 likes. We're only on 50 likes. Please, it really helps with the algorithm if you hit the like button. If you want to join the Minions gang, the membership club, you get your perks, you get your badges, you get your emojis, your custom member content, and of course, you get to support the growth of the growing community here. You can join that by hitting the link pinned. I think it's pinned in the chat. It is pinned in the chat. So you can join the membership gang. You can become an official minion. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can. You can send in super chats with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts, or if you just appreciate the daily content here and you want to support me, you can do that. And if you want to do something simple, just hit the like button. That's it. I should just go mute for like a minute until everybody hits the like button because that like count has not gone up. That like count has not gone up. So please hit the like button, guys. Like I said, it really helps with the algorithm to get the channel more out there. Fits by being one of the homegrown quota that we're desperate for. That's really because we got Scott McTominay, we've got Johnny Evans, you got Marcus Rashford, you got Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Who else do you have? You would have Ahmad and Garnacho would fit as a homegrown talent, if I'm not wrong. Kobe Mainoo now. You got now Toby Collier, Luke Shaw. There's a lot of Man United have a lot of homegrown players. There's quite a few. So I don't know why Mason Mount has to fit that quota. They're under 21, they don't count. Oh, okay, fair enough. Sorry, I didn't know that. Mount was average. Haven't seen no improvements in this preseason. Damn, you're saying there's no I'm not gonna lie, last year he was underwhelming for me. Underwhelming in preseason. I remember it was his first preseason, obviously, with United. He just came in, and I was just like, what? We're talking about Man United, we're talking about, as fans, we're talking about set pieces and whatnot. Mount didn't even take set pieces during preseason. I don't know if you lot realize he hasn't been the consistent set piece taker. Ahmad has now been trusted to take set pieces as well. He's good at set pieces. But when Mount was coming in, everyone was ranting and raving about his set pieces and how he's going to be the set piece taker for United and corners and free kicks, etc., etc. There's no way Manchester United spent 60 million on someone to take set pieces and to run around. I honestly think Mount takes over McTominay's role in the squad. I don't think Mount... Is it blasphemous to say Mount can't score the goals that McTominay scored last season? And the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of McTominay's goals came as a literally box crashing midfielder. Mount hasn't been that guy for Man United. Maybe he has been in the past for Chelsea, but that's the past. I'm not too sure. But there is no way that he could do. It's not me saying that McTominay is better than Mount, but I'm saying what Mount did last season, what McTominay did last season for United, I don't think Mount could do. I don't think Mason Mount could do that. Mason Mount, for me, would not be a box crashing midfielder. He wouldn't get into the places that McTominay did last season. You know, he wouldn't win his aerial duels in the manner that McTominay did for some of the goals that he did score. But I do think in that, you know, I don't know if it's a 10 or an advanced 8, he could flourish. Maybe Man United need to get him on the ball more. Maybe they have to unlock Mount. Maybe Man United need to unlock Mount. I think he takes over Bruno's role when he leaves next year. If Bruno Fernandes leaves next year and we replace Bruno Fernandes, the only M that I'm taking as a replacement for Bruno is Musiala, not Mount. There is no way on God's beautiful green earth that God has created for us that Manchester United replace Bruno Fernandes with this guy here. There is no way. I'm sorry. Mason Mount over Jamal Musiala? Absolutely not. And also, guys, it's me being delusional, right? Because it's possible that Musiala re-signs with Bayern. It's possible he even goes and joins Manchester City when Kevin De Bruyne leaves. But there is so many better 10s than Mason Mount. Mount, the answer to the right-hand side? No. I don't think so. I don't think he's the answer to the right-hand side. I don't see him as I don't know, maybe because when I think about a right winger, I think about a traditional right winger, a natural right winger. One thing I don't like is playing players in multiple positions that you think that they'd be good in. Please play players in their strongest position and just keep it moving. Ahmed actually says here, I see Mount as a right wing option. You look at the right wing options United do have. That's Ahmad, Garnacho, Anthony, Bruno. Bruno is more likely, I think, to play right wing than he is to play Mount there. It's possible. I think it is possible, but for Mason Mount, I don't know. I don't know. Ridwan drops some transfer news. Says if Man United want to sign both De Ligt and Mazraoui, then a total package of 70 million euros is required. Both are expected to be United players this summer. Let's actually talk about. Is that all I had to talk about so far for the game? Yeah, it is. Yeah, I actually had some talk about Mazraoui here. Reportedly, coming out of Germany and Moroccan media is that Eric Ten Hag, Mohamed Kudus, that's at I would love Mohamed Kudus at United. Oh my God. We went to Ajax, guys, and we walked away with Anthony and Kudus was there. That's ridiculous. But Eric Ten Hag reportedly wants Mazraoui in time for the Community Shield. The Community Shield is 6 days away. 6 days away. Now, again, is it because Luke Shaw is anticipated to not be available anytime soon? Because let's be real, I've seen nothing about Luke Shaw possibly since the Euros ended. I ain't seen anything about Luke Shaw. I don't know if he's carrying another injury again and he's just staying out of the media. I've seen people like Kobe, we've seen Joshua Zirkzee, we've seen all these players out and about doing stuff ahead of returning back to Carrington, but I've not seen anything of Luke Shaw. So I think Manchester United know and anticipate that Luke Shaw will possibly not be available for the opening parts of the season. I think that is definitely the case. Now, Nazir Mazraoui for me is an interesting one because you lot know where I stand with him. Yesterday after, why does my neighbor's kids just keep shouting nonstop? Is she singing Let It Go? Can you guys hear that? This is what I have to put up with every single day. Singing Let It Go right underneath my window. I'm pretty sure that Shaw was playing on injections in the Euros. I mean, you don't just go from not being available since February. You don't go from not. I can't concentrate. But you don't go from not being available in February to playing in the quarterfinals of the Euros. It doesn't make sense. It does not. I think it was round of 16 he returned, or quarterfinals, and then he started in the final. You don't just do that because you suddenly become fit. Of course you're taking injections. Of course you are taking injections. 2024 and we're still relying on Luke Shaw. I don't think we're do you think we're relying on Luke Shaw? And maybe this is Eric Ten Hag's way of identifying that the future is not Luke Shaw by bringing in Nazir Mazraoui. Now, for me, equally as much as getting Nazir Mazraoui through the door, I actually think it's a bigger priority to get De Ligt. Like, I genuinely think that. Now, 70 million euros, that's like, I think that's like 60 million. That must be about 60 million pounds for Mazraoui and De Ligt. Now, I think doing a joint bid for two players, it kind of takes away the pressure of having to value both players individually. Because if you're telling me United are willing to pay 60 million for both players, are you saying you value Mazraoui at 20 and De Ligt at 40? Mizraoui at 15 and De Ligt at 45, because their stance, Bayern Munich's stance, has been very clear from the jump. They do not want anything less than 50 million euros for De Ligt. And I think it was 20 million euros for Mizraoui. Now, if Manchester United, would you guys be happy with Man United's final transfer products being Mizraoui and De Ligt? Meaning, after signing Mizraoui and after signing De Ligt, Man United don't bring in a midfielder and they don't bring in anything else. Because that is scary. That is scary. The idea of not having a midfielder really, really worries me. And I don't know why I'm the only person that's so worried about it. I really don't know. Ugarte would not come in on a loan if he's got a valuation of 10, 15 million. 10, 15 million for a loan. You're mad. You're mad. PSG are mad and they have no one to tell them that. Equally, they are also mad for expecting 70 million euros. How can you turn around and say, first we want 50 million for Ugarte, and obviously that is what they paid for. They paid 60 million for him, so they said we want 50 million because that's basically to recoup it. And then turning around and saying, actually, we want 70 million because we want to make a profit. A profit on what? The guy, he was crap for you last season. He was crap for you last season. This is my kind of comment, guys. This is my kind of comment. Done and Dusted says, got rid of Fred and midfield still a shambles. Listen, Fred was wrongly targeted by fans. Fred was not technically the best player on a technicality level, but no one offers Man United what Fred offers. Can I just say that? No one in the midfield now offers what Fred offered. And I was clowned on United View. If you don't know on United View, I was clowned for a hot minute when I used to speak about Fred. Yeah, when I used to speak about Fred. But last season, what was everyone saying? Oh, I miss Fred. Where's Fred? Fred. Shut up. You lot all wanted him out. You all wanted him out. And when he left, you cry and saying, oh, where's Fred? We need him. Why? Because United's midfield getting run ragged every single flipping game. I remember his game against Manchester City when he pocketed Kevin De Bruyne. Do you lot remember January in Erik ten Hag's first year? Manchester United versus City at Old Trafford, and Fred shut up Kevin De Bruyne. If you lot remember, you remember. If you lot remember, you remember. Fred helped Casemiro a lot because he did all the running. And I remember, yeah, guys, I remember saying, yeah, that Fred runs, that's why he is a benefit. And I got clowned on United View. If you lot remember, I got clowned on a match view. Talking about, oh, you say, oh, Fred runs, is that the standards? Blah, 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 blah. Wallahi, like a couple of games later, everybody started to see it. Did Fred deserve a new contract? No, I think it was right to move Fred on, guys. But I think it was getting a player like, you know what? Maybe Mount was meant to be the Fred type of player. You know, we're talking about how Mount just runs and covers a lot of ground. Maybe that's what he was meant to be. That's what he was meant to be. Fred was scapegoated for McTominay when he played hide and seek and didn't show for the ball. Fred's responsibility was never to collect the ball. And something about Fred, I don't know if you lot realize, but he was always that player that was in the right place, but that's not the player that you wanted there. His awareness was very well. His awareness was very good. He knew where to be, but it's just that you would want a different midfielder in that position. And he, like I said, he helped Casemiro a lot because he did the legwork. When you got someone doing all the legwork for you, you don't really have to do much. You don't have to do much. If we keep McTominay, Casemiro, and Eriksen and Hannibal and don't strengthen, it's diabolical. I'm not gonna lie, guys. There's a strong part of me that thinks majority of those midfielders will still be here. I think if Man United cannot sell Hannibal, they'll send him on loan again. I think they'll send him on loan just to kind of further the impression that there's nothing in the team for him. So I think that they'll do that. I think McTominay is probably the closest one of leaving out of all of that. I think Casemiro will stay. I think Eriksen will stay. Eriksen has been kind of clear that he's a Man United player for the next 12 months. He don't want to go anywhere. He's on like 80, 90, 100k. He don't want to go anywhere. Where is he going to get that from elsewhere? Where is he going to get that from? He's not getting that from elsewhere. But the original question that I asked, guys, was, would you be happy with Mizraoui and De Ligt and no one comes in after that? I also, guys, by the way, I wouldn't even be happy with a lone midfielder because we need to stop the temporary solutions for a long term. We're literally having temporary solutions for long-term problems. This midfield problem has been there for a minute. Kevin says Mizraoui, De Ligt, Ugarte, Amrabat, and Kadioglu hopefully by the end of the season. Kevin, my brother, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Whatever you're on, let me know. You are on some optimism to think that Man United are going to bring those 5 players in. You know what? If they do, I will send you $100. I'll actually send you $100 because I don't think that will happen personally. I think it's more likely that a player like Rabiot comes in, a free agent. I think a free agent coming in. Mazraoui, yes. Delit, yes. Ugarte, Amrabat, and Kadioglu. Allahumma barik, bro. You're on something. Whatever optimism you're on, I need it. The world would be a better place if we all thought like Kevin, guys. I'm genuinely saying, I'm being honest. I'm genuinely being honest. I don't think the tour has convinced any club to buy our transfer listed players. Do you think that's what the purpose of the tour was? Because people like Hannibal, who is really even on the transfer list for United? Who is even on the transfer list? Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka. That's it. Hannibal, but they're not Scott McTominay. That's it. Eriksen is not going. He's made it clear he's not leaving. He's not going anywhere. Mina, I'll be honest. How far does these signings take you? Do these take us to the next level? I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure either. I think United are still at least like 6 players away from challenging for anything significant, guys. And it really hurts me to say that. My standards right now are very mid. My standards are very mid. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm not going to sit here and be like, United, top 4. This top 4, firstly, should never, ever be the benchmark. Top 4 should never, ever be the benchmark. But I don't even think top 4 is realistic this season, guys. I'll be real. I'm so concerned about just the quality and the depth. And maybe I'm being a negative. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be negative. There's just no, like, I will go to games, by the way, this season. I will expect to win every single game. But I'm not moved by all the transfer movements that Manchester United have done. And there's still about a month left, guys. There's still about 26 days. There's 26 days. A lot can happen in 26 days. So, of course, I have to be patient and see what happens. But we must get third. For me, getting third is reasonable, but I don't know how likely it could be. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, if we don't get Delit through the door, by the way, I've said this time and time again, United are 1-2 injuries away from Johnny Evans and a Lindelof. That's it. That's it. Mazraoui can come in. That's good. That's depth. Diogo Dalot, Luke Shaw, that's good fullback options. But if Manchester United do not sign a midfielder, guys, these signings mean nothing. They mean nothing. And maybe that's my kind of shortcoming, is that I've put a lot of emphasis and a lot of weight on the idea of Manchester United signing a midfielder, because for me, that should have been number one. When Man United were moving for Joshua Zirkzee, I'll be real, they should have been moving for a midfielder. Because the problem has been there game in, game out. The problem has been there. Last season, the biggest problem for me wasn't, even though Man United were conceding at the rate that they were, the biggest worry for me was midfield. It was Erik ten Hag's first season painted over the cracks in midfield. I'm talking about the specific midfield issue. It painted over the cracks. Why? Because Man United had a solid backline, consistent backline that kind of painted over the cracks. But let's be real, guys. Will you guys be happy with Man United not signing a midfielder if it means that they signed Delit and Mazraoui? Because I won't. I will not be happy. I will still support the team and I will still kind of hope that United win Europa League, etc. But I will be so kind of worried going into games like Liverpool, like City, like Villa. I'll be so scared to go up against Villa with Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo. And that's, by the way, no disrespect to Kobbie Mainoo, but that's more so disrespect to Casemiro. So United, for me, they need to, if they're going to get it moving in the season, in the transfer window, that midfield talk needs to kind of speed up. Imran says we need a centre-back, CDM, left-back, and a central midfielder. We need 4 players. We need four players. Villa have Kamara and Anana in midfield, and United could have had both of them. You know how sad that is? We could have had Bobakor Kamara on a free. Villa brought him on a free. And we could have had Anana, but United moved late for him, and he had already given his word to Villa. Mashallah, he's a man of deen. He's a man of faith, of religion. He said, "I gave my word to Villa." So, and Man United apparently matched the offer that Villa were willing to pay. He would have made a heap of difference in our midfield. I really think we're going to cook this season. Feel optimistic about the changes, and just seems like players are being coached. I agree with the second part of the players being coached. I'm very optimistic, by the way, guys, for how United are going to look under this coaching staff, etc. Because I think preseason has shown patterns. That's the most important part. Preseason has kind of shown patterns. We won't control games until we have a midfield balance, such as Matic and Herrera and Pogba. What a good time that was. Had I known that was the last time we'd have a good midfield balance, I probably would have appreciated it a bit more. I really, really would have appreciated it a bit more. Again, another one, not good enough for Man United. That's why we didn't went in for him. I think he would have been good enough for United. You look at what we're linked to now, and Ugarte, Zubimendi, Adrian Rabiot, Joey Verman. Does it really move me? Zubimendi does. The rest, not so much. I'm not going to lie. The others don't really move me that much. But that's just my opinion, guys. That's just my opinion. But listen, guys, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. We're 14 likes away from 100. So please, on your way out, please, 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 just hit the like button. It does nothing for you, but it does a lot for me. It's as simple as that. Please hit the like button on your way out. If you are watching this back, hit the like button as well. Be sure to comment below as well your thoughts on the stream, etc., etc. If we get a here we go today for Delit, for Mazraoui, or for anybody else, I will be live later this evening. If not, I'll be back tomorrow as always with the afternoon streams. You guys know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button. I've said it about 5 times, so you can't say that I didn't say it. And be sure to subscribe. Big up to everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday. Whatever you lot get up to. Olympics is starting to heat up. I'm just seeing stuff online. I'm not really watching it, but I'm seeing that the Olympics are starting to heat up. So if you're enjoying it, let me know what your favorite flipping sport has. Mina's FIFA card has a higher rating than Saeed's. My FIFA card is 99 everything. I'm not humble, guys. I am not humble. I will not sit here and be like, yeah, my shooting is 70 something, my pace is 80 something. I am not humble. I'm 99 everything. Man United could do with me up front. How about that? I could play up front for Manchester United. But listen, big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday, guys. Hopefully we get a here we go in the next 24 hours. I don't know. The next 24 hours. Let's see. But I'm out, guys. Have a great day. Peace.